The title of the message is Breaking Generational Curses. I'm going to use three examples. First one, obviously, is the children of Israel. The second one, American slavery, great example, and after post-slavery, all the way up until to now. And the third one is individual families, children of divorce, children of verbally abusive families. That's every nationality. But it creates a generational curse because we're talking about demonic occupation, things that break up, things that come to break up, things that are supposed to stay together. And if you have ever been or seen what children go through in the midst of a divorce, everybody's shooting arrows, but the arrows that the mommy and daddy shoot at each other pass right through the children. And something breaks, something dies, they experience like a death. But then they're expected to keep on walking and keep on functioning and just, it's nothing. And it is something. We are a fabric. So when we talk about any part of this, healing is a deep word. Healing, we talk about broken bones and we talk about disease, but some healing has to happen at a deeper level that we don't never talk about. And people walk around broken for a very long time. Let me find out what that noise is. People walk around broken for a very long time, and it's because it's not on the outside. Everybody kind of goes, oh well, it's there. People have been broken. If you have been inappropriately touched as a child, something broke. If somebody has called you out of your name as wives that have been fooled around on, something breaks. And not to mention, depending on who it was that it happened with, something breaks. Husbands that have been fooled around on, somebody has been unfaithful to them, something breaks. And brokenness is all over. And healing, it will literally change your conversation. It'll change your outlook. So people walk around like they're kind of asleep, but they're not asleep. They're broken. They're not asleep. Something's hurt. When someone died in my family, and someone said to me, "You're not crying." And that was when I first realized, and this is true, and you only will know if you've had this experience. There's a pain past tears. There's a PAIN past tears. You can. There was a movie Denzel Washington was on. He said, "Pain does two things. It either hurts or it alters." And there's sometimes that's okay. They're altering the second kind. What that is, you cry when you can stop crying. You cry because when you're able to stop crying. But there's some places that pain goes. If you ever started crying about it, you just would go. You would never come back because you don't have enough tears. It's such a deep place of pain that you can't cry. You just don't do anything. You just close the door and just pretend like it's not there. That's what abused children do. They function with pain. And they learn how to function with it. And so they're functioning, but they're not 100%. Inside that door that was closed, that thing that was stolen from them, is stuff that they will not be able to, they won't go, therapy doesn't do that. That's the Holy Spirit has to heal that. Because something was done and it wasn't supposed to be done, or something was hurt, or something happened. I remember one of the clients, and he had just bought life insurance for his family. He was driving some road, new baby in the back, wife on the side, and he's driving lightning or some kind. It was a storm. Tree branch fell down and hit the car, and it hit the wife and the baby, and he was alive. And he had a brokenness that was not. He was talking about the life insurance, but that he would have given anything up to get them back, but it wasn't. It couldn't happen, and it was. It was. You've heard these situations happens to everybody, but it's a thing where it's stuck. It sticks with you. So something over years and time, he will eventually be able to breathe, literally. Literally, he'll be able to take a deep breath again. But right when something like that happens, it cuts you off at the knees. Everything changes. You're walking, but you're not yourself, and you're not 100%. And something in the inside is gone, just off, gone. And then you still function. They still go to work. People are laughing. He or she or whomever the person is, they can't quite laugh 100%. Versus when are in a good place and something funny happens, you can laugh and giggle all day about it because you can go deep in your joy because you're fine. But then there's some places and situations where people are coming out of crisis or something has happened and something dies and they're almost like awake but sleep, numb but functioning, but their emotions, something just shut down. So that's what I'm talking about. And that the generational curses, we have situations where people speak the what is not in you. Children, parents do it to children, especially when you have families that are breaking up. They turn on the kid. The kids are like the political social volleyball that gets pulled around, gets pulled apart. When you have situations, they want them to take a side. Are they speaking when you're in a room, babies? When you're in a room where somebody has been screaming and hollering, that affects the child's spirit. Arguing and fighting in a room where kids are near can hear you. Even if you don't do it in front of them, that's better. But if you do it in front of them, you are affecting the soul of that other person standing in the room. When people go on rants and raids and just start having temper tantrums and this is why drugs and alcohol are so dangerous. They do another kind of damage, not only to the person using them, but to the people around them. This is when I talk about breaking generational curses. The enemy tries to steal, kill, and destroy. When he gets one person under his control, he can destroy a whole bunch of people around that one person. The person trying to help them, the person that they're responsible for, the person that they live with. Just imagine I'll give you an example. At one alcoholic father, or one alcoholic mother, or one a drug addicted person. They affect the whole household. It's like somebody with a serious disease that is now flaring this disease in front of everybody else. Everybody suffers from that one person's functioning out of a dysfunction. Everybody suffers. They can't come home. They function trying to figure out, is it a good day or is it a bad day? Is mommy or daddy going to beat me? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? That's horrible. I bind that in the name of Jesus. That is horrible to put somebody else in that kind of emotional dysfunction. And they take people. So we have entire groups, entire races of people doing that against another race of people. Bigger scale, same problem. That's why I break it down. You can understand the family unit, but we're a social unit doing the same thing. We are a global unit, humanity doing the same thing. God has been trying to free mankind from the garden. God has been trying to free us from the garden. Jesus freeing us. Freedom has been the theme of the planet, freeing mankind. This sin thing was no joke, and once you stop looking at the tit for tat, the events, go deeper. This is not something that's going to break through laws. This is going to break through spirit realm. The laws will follow, but this is going to break in the spirit realm. And you have to start, when we are praying for people, everybody on our prayer list, yes, we want to get them well, but where's the real, while we are in there praying for healing, let's do the whole thing. Look, every one of you, I don't care what nationality you are. Every one of you, look back 3 or 4, as far as you can remember. Look back and see, because the reason I'm saying that, intergenerational curses can happen on several levels. It can happen with the abusive things I was just talking about, and those are injured people functioning injured. We have women that have self-esteem is in the toilet. It didn't just get there like that. How? See, we just function. I have low self-esteem. Why? Where did it come from? Who told you you were less than? Who told you you were less than? It used to be a time in this country where men could beat the wives, and 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 the police officers, when if she called, I mean, he could do everything short of killing her, and she, just doing all kinds of horrible abusive things, and people would just hide it. They would just function with it, and he could come have a bad day at work and come home and take it out on the kids. Lots of you have heard lots and lots of stories of things like that happening. And if he didn't physically beat them, he would talk to them in such a way that their spirit would start to die. Something would shut down. We have so many shut down people in this, people, not just older generation. I don't think the millennials are functioning a little differently, but older generation, they function shut down, and they can't show any emotion, because if they show any emotion, all the emotion is going to come out, and they're not going to be able to function. We are free. You can't praise and serve God and function in the full capacity of what He's calling you to do if you're injured, if something's broken, if something hasn't been addressed. And you have to break that stuff at the core of where it actually, and recognize it. Recognize injury. A lot of your prayer life is going to go a lot faster when you're praying and you're listening. People will tell you, when you talk to people any length of time, they'll tell you what's going on, either by saying it or not saying it. But let me give you an example. If I could use words to describe something, let me put it like this. You're looking at the wall. There's a blank piece of paper, and then I draw a silhouette of somebody on the paper. Now, if I'm describing something to you, I'm just talking. I can either talk about the person, descriptively, namely by attributes, events, whatever. I can talk about the event itself, or I can speak even louder about the event by not mentioning it at all. I can talk about all the words around the person. Like, sometimes sons are mad at their moms, or our daughters are mad at their fathers. They'll talk about everybody in the family except that one. They just took an eraser and took them off the family tree. You can't take them off the family tree, but they just didn't mention them no more. And they talk about everything except that person. And why they don't want to talk about it? Because there's pain attached to it, and they don't want to. No, everybody avoids pain. Everybody avoids it. In the heal their land. That is the thing we have to go into. That is your strength as a child of God, is to say, Lord, to empathize with somebody else's pain. How, not just that they're like this, how did they get like this? And so then when you start talking about how they got like this, you start getting closer to the spirit and the origin, the generational stuff that happens. You don't have to go that deep on everybody, but you do. If you are working with a repeated issue, repeated offense, somebody keeps hurting themselves or putting themselves in a bad situation or picking a bad partner or sabotaging their life or doing something. There's something in there that says, I don't deserve this thing, even though the Word of God says it. He set me up to have it. Children of Israel, great example. And I'm happy about. Let me tell you something. I'm happy about this. People marching. I'm happy to see every nationality out there marching, because they're expressing this democracy is messy business, but it's great. Everybody speaks. Everybody has a voice. Everybody says, I agree or I disagree, and why. There, just the fact of expressing your opinion is very therapeutic for cultures. Then you don't have these coups that just take up and kill everybody because you allow from the bottom all the way to the top. You allow people to speak. Some people want to be farmers. Some people want to be executives. Some people want to have a simple life. Some people want to have a glamorous, complex life. But in this wonderful thing, this America, we can do that. We can do that. We have this. We spend a lot of money to allow people their voice. Everybody votes. It's an amazing thing, a concept that everybody votes. We don't all agree, but we vote. We talk about it. We spread it out on the table. We spread the issues out. And I would push that we know what they're talking about when they keep saying they can't figure out this stimulus check. I need to know what you guys are talking about up in that room. We need to see who's not agreeing and what they're not agreeing to. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing. Don't block me out from something that involves us. We need to know what you're talking about up in that room. Why can't you? Because see, if we knew that, we would vote differently if we knew what you said behind closed doors, Democrat or Republican. Because see, people need money now, and you sitting up there talking about something that has nothing to do with somebody keeping a roof over their head. But this transparency, this is what I'm talking about in America. I got a little bit off track, but talking about voting, transparency. What happened? What happened? What happened? That's the key. And when we talk about pain and people that are going, they may not be able to tell you what happened, but something did happen. What happened? What is happening? What is the issue? Devil likes operating behind closed doors in secret places. He likes it not to discuss stuff. He likes to shut you down because if he can shut you down and isolate you, he can keep doing a work on you. And that's where hidden, locked away, pushed under the rug, not discussed, hurt, anger, unforgiveness, all that stuff, that's all the junk that prevents you from getting a free flow of the move of God, to stepping into your promise. All this stuff. People and the children of Israel, that first generation, did not go in because of stuff. Because what they thought they were. And they got so angry and so fearful, you calling them to walk into their promise, and they pulled back and were fighting to not be in that promise, fighting to stay, but not a slave, but not a free man either. Who's not I just said something. Not a slave, but not a free people either. I can't function like you. I'm differently disabled. I'm different. I'm reminded all the time that I'm different. I'm reminded, not no more. And sometimes you have these bold people that just absolutely refuse. And that's why I'm telling you, the absolutely refuse. It is the most important thing to take that faith. And this is not a black or white faith, but to take that faith and turn it to that situation and to address it. As long as I pretend like it's not there, I can keep doing it. I can keep creating my own reality and functioning in it. Parents, look at your children. You had something to do with it. Now, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying it maybe you had something to do with it because you gave them too much or you didn't give them enough. But you had something to do with it. It may be that you allowed people to speak to them that didn't need to, or you didn't shut stuff down that needed to be shut down. But you had something to do with it. And I'm not saying it may be for what we're talking about right now, calling it what it is. If it's a generational curse, you have, I'm kind of going all over the place. I'm trying to get to these few points here. Look at yourself. Look at your children. Look at your mother. Look at your grandmother or grandfather, parents. Now, we all have families that have got a whole bunch of stuff going on. But that stuff that is done and said and not spoken and hidden, that has a spirit attached to it. It translates to children will have it in their blood when they won't even know why they're doing it. They won't even know why they're angry. They won't even know why they're acting out. It's a blood thing. Emotions transfer into your bloodline. Did you know that? You can have if you've ever been pregnant and I have examples, friends that have gone through divorce or had traumatic events while they are pregnant. That emotional drama, then the baby comes out agitated, don't even know why. It has depressing, don't even know why, because it transferred. Vibes transfer in a household. We are connected. That's what I said. All that to say, we are connected. So in the connection, we're going to pray deeper prayers. So we're going to pray deeper prayers, and I'm going to pray 2 levels as a nation, and then we're going to pray individual prayers, and then you're going to keep praying those individual prayers. And this is the reason I'm saying this other thing is that we have to stop seeing color and start seeing God. And when I say we got to clean this up, yes. But even if they give you reparation, even if they give you the money or the this or the that or whatever it has to be addressed. Don't get me wrong. You don't enslave people for several centuries and then just set them free and still harass and beat them and talk to them crazy and say the reason you're doing that is because it was never addressed. The reason abusive situations keep going because somebody didn't put true light on it and didn't say this is what this cost. And if it doesn't cost anything, you keep repeating it. So when you treat a person or a group of people this certain kind of way, you have to pay for that. It might be you have to go to jail too. It might be you got to pay them in cash, reparation. It might be you're going to have to make way, just like it took 300 or 400 years times X number of people times hourly wages, even times interest. They would literally bankrupt the country. So then you have to figure out what do we do to compensate for what we've done. It ain't no quick fix. It ain't no 20, 30 years of what's that stupid stuff called? Affirmative action. You can't affirmative action away that's one thing, but you need some other stuff. Got to deal with it. Don't act like it didn't happen. And the reason that the United States, I'm telling you, the reason the United States doesn't want to talk about apologizing for slavery, because when you have in the court system, when you admit fault, there's a cost called damages. But we have to go back and address it. We cannot move forward unless we address this. And it's going to take a while. It's going to go down the street a long time, but we have to address it. You cannot do these. You can't do horrible things and then just go, okay, well, I'm done now. I'm done. Just like you can't do it. And some kind of way, we talk around it and we don't push it. And that's one thing. I'm going to put that aside. I'm not talking about that right now. But when he says, if my people which are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. If it wasn't okay when the children of Israel left Egypt, the Egyptians gave them jewelry. They gave them stuff to leave with, so much that they had enough to build a big old giant golden calf. They weren't supposed to be building that, but he gave them that. Why? Because that's the least you can do, and then let them go. And when he let them go, their minds, they were still slaves. They were ex-slaves, but not freed men. They were ex-slaves. That's a horrible place to be between here and there, between what you're going to be, but not quite what you were. And then, but imagine if Egypt was able to harass the Jews. We're in our free state, but we still can be harassed because it has an effect. If a mother and a father can tell a child all day, every day that they're stupid, guess what the child might possibly start believing? If you tell them you're not as good as, guess what that child might possibly, it might go into their spirit, and it doesn't matter what you give them. I'm not good enough will keep popping up. That's why you see entertainers and people that are wealthy just self-destructing, because I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. God has great promise for you, but you got to be able to love yourself enough to be that thing. And your children and your children's children need to be able to do that. This is complicated. I hope it's making sense. But I'm using slavery because it's right now present. We're right after it, but we haven't gone into the correcting of a group. That's why I tell you every time you see these people affecting other people. You see these children, babies. Hold on. You see whoever just coughed, put yourself on mute. I'll do it. Never mind. When you see these babies at the border, and you see these children sitting in fences, that is a crime. The children didn't do anything, and we're figuring out again. That's why I said you have to stop. It has to stop, because if you don't stop it, if you don't start looking at humans, all people have a dignity. All people have the ability, whomever they are, whatever they are, all people have the ability to be treated with a level of love and compassion, and we can figure it out. But you got to take in consideration when you see things like that happen and we don't say nothing. We keep just, look at it in the newspaper or whatever and just act like it didn't happen. We're responsible. You're not saying nothing. You're responsible because you participated. Children separated from their mothers, and they know they're trying to fix it up now, but it was a whole system. They set up a whole system and set up facilities and functioned in that. And even the people, that law enforcement that did it, nobody said something was wrong with this picture. Nobody said this is horrifically wrong, because they're not understanding yet that you don't treat people in your kind of way, and think that blood of that event, it affected the people it broke hearts, it broke families, it affected the people. We're seeing it as a nation. It affects us, and the blood of that event is on our hands. This is why you have to speak up. When somebody gets something done wrong and we watch it, you participated. And if you participated, it's in you. You have just participated in the crime. You have participated by not responding, by not acting, not saying something, not responding in a way to say this isn't right. You have to speak truth to power. Just because you're comfortable doesn't mean it's okay. Just because, it's not me. No, it is you. Because under this red, white, and blue, this beautiful country called America, all of us participate. I am my brother's keeper. You are your brother or your sister's keeper. How can anybody else? I couldn't do this in another country. I couldn't be me in another country. This country allows me and affords me the ability to do that. I have been mentored by everybody, by Jewish people, by white people, by black people, by Asian, by Hispanic people. I've been mentored by everybody. Loved and mentored by everybody. I don't consider myself only a black woman. I consider myself American, because I have been poured into I have worked around white men most of my life. That is most of who has mentored and spoken into me, period. As a business person, I have great love. I don't have nothing. They have given me their best. And that's what America does. We're a melting pot. We're an example in this world of how people can get along and how people can love each other. We've had great crimes, true enough, but we have a great process for getting out of it. We have a great process for self-correcting. When the founding fathers put the Declaration of Independence together, I'm sure they weren't thinking about me, but I'm in there. They weren't thinking about Jose, but he's in there. They weren't thinking about somebody from China or somebody from Vietnam, but they're in there, because it included everybody. And we're working to a greater purpose. So when we say generational curses, it's a small thing to relieve yourself of, to go out into the next step, to get to, if somebody opens up the door and says, all this is for you. All of this wonderful possibilities are for you. Education. You can live in good health. You can build your own situation. You can live here, or you can build your own area. You can do whatever you want to do. If you educate, go to school, go do this, do that. You have the ability to start where you are and climb all the way to where you need to be. And there should not be a voice of your past from your grandmother, from your grandfather, from the Willie Lynch laws, from the you're not good enough laws, from calling you out your name. There should be nothing of the past ugliness to pull you down and not allow you to be all that you can be. We don't have a right to speak a curse into our children's life. They should be able to walk freely into their future without the weight and the hindrance of the ugliness of racism that was in the past. Racism is a mistake, but it's in the past. We're going to put it in the past because you have to announce how you stop something is you put some light on it and address it. How you stop all this drama is you address it. United States, you need to pay reparation. You need to acknowledge this racism, and you need to call it out when and where you see it. That's the only way it's going to stop. Don't sit there and act like it's not there, because then it just perpetuates. Same thing in every other situation, that these things need to stop. You need to address it. It needs to be openly discussed. So it can be openly, like a wound, lance it so the infection can come out once and for all and be done with it. It ain't going away. It be done with it. History. Your children, you individually, I don't care if you're a secretary, a housekeeper, a teacher, or a doctor. You need to know your history because you're not free yet. You out of slavery, but you ain't free. So you need to know your history. You need to know every gory detail of what happened. You need to know who Medgar Evers is, Harriet Tubman is, what the Jim Crow laws were, what the Willie Lynch laws are. You need to know, because you're going to see some amazing familiarity in when you read that stuff. You need to know your history like the back of your hand. One thing I love about Jewish people, they know their history. They sit and tell their kids, this is what happened, this is what happened, this way. You got to talk about the history of what it costs to get to where you are, so that this next generation going into where they're going will understand, well, you know what, I don't want to go to school and I don't want to do my homework, but my mama, my daddy, my grandmother, somebody paid for me to be able to read. Somebody paid with blood for me to be able to have the right to vote. Somebody paid for me to get all the way up into the front of this line. Your dues have been paid over and over and over again. When somebody was picking cotton or picking tobacco in some field somewhere, and you were in the loins of somebody, they were praying for you. I am so grateful. If I was Chinese, I would be awesome Chinese. If I was Mexican, I would be awesome Mexican. If I was Korean, Indian, I would be awesome whatever. But I am black, and I'm awesome black. I'm glad there's a history. I'm wearing my history on my skin. I'm wearing it. You can't confuse me with anything else. You probably, somebody was brought over some kind of way to get you here. I can pretty much, somebody in your bloodline was in the bottom of a ship, brought over against their will, and here you stand. That only happens in America. We have ability to heal. We have the ability to be better than we are. It was written. We have the wonderful thing about our laws is that they can change. And as brighter minds come to bear and ask the same question, brighter solutions can come to bear and have a bigger solution. We have to pray that in, and we have to lay aside the weight of the past and go all the way into where God has for us to do. We can't be stuck here. We are walking around a mountain and have not gone in. Martin Luther King, first go around, and we still walking. We walking backwards. We walking actually back to Egypt. We walking back to Egypt. We can't. Young men don't even understand what it is, the honor of being a man. Women, the honor of being a woman, coming together and staying married and raising beautiful, healthy children. I'm talking to all America now. Raising healthy children, having babies. You should have quite a few as you can, if you can. Having babies, raising them and educating them, making wonderful individuals that will now even forward the country. We are a great people. We are great people. So it's a small thing to break the generational curse, stop fighting, come together and be a better country, be a better nation. So we're going to, no, Vivian, I am not running for office because that's what she asked me last time. I'm just telling you guys, this needs to happen. There's a conscious, there's a soul to a thing, and we have to come together for that to happen. So here we go. We're going to read 3 things. I want Melody to read hers first, and then the rest of us are going to read hers, because this is when God asked Adam, "Who told you you were naked?" Here we go. Who told you you were ugly? Who told you that your dark skin or your black skin or your brown skin or your yellow skin was less than some other body's skin? Who told you because you were a woman you could do less? You can't be this or that. Who told you because you're in a wheelchair or you look different that you can't function like everybody else? Where does that you can't less, where does that come from? It's not God. Who repeats this horrific conversation? It's not God. God lifts you up. He builds you up. He throws you over the fence. He propels you into a tremendously wonderful future. With that you have life and have it more abundantly. And nothing in there said, let somebody put you on a tree. Let somebody chase you out the country. Let me go back on that. Texas, California, Mexico owned. We try to kick people out that was here before us. If you want to know the truth, California, Texas, all of that. Mexico owned all of that. What are you doing? Which you came over here on a boat. And Native Americans were here first. So who are you trying to kick out from where? I mean, that's what I'm telling you. You got to know your history. Because even if I was Mexican and you try to kick me out the country, I would be in like saying, I'm not going nowhere. You go. See how that works? Don't get somewhere and kick me out and then try to treat me like I'm crazy. No, you go. But they didn't ask me, so I'm gonna stay in my lane. But if you know your history, then you can start having a better conversation. You have rights because you were here already. You have a better conversation. Don't when I say treating people, how to treat people well, everybody, because we are all very much connected.